everybody? It is me. It is the Cyber Warrior. This is CyberWarriorStudios, and I know you are all here for another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour. And I promise we're going to get into it. We got an amazing episode planned. I got some amazing guests. He's absolutely amazing. But first and foremost, let me hit a few notes. One, you got to like, comment, subscribe, share, all those fun things. If you're listening to this on podcast after the fact, please rate and all that other stuff. All donations, all super chats, all tips, all whatever are going to youth football. So if you want to support that, please feel free. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, otherwise, look, you know how I do. We're going to get into the show and we're going to have a great conversation. So I'll see you here in about 10 seconds. And we're back. And that's right. It is me, the Cyber Warrior. I got with me the one and only Christopher Marks. And we have a great show planned. What are we talking about today, Chris? What are we talking about?
Vulnerabilities in people. But if I should have wore my jersey if I knew we was wearing jerseys.
Dude, I threw it on because I was like running out of clothes. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to throw my jersey on. We're just going to go with it.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's important to talk. Talk about vulnerabilities in people because, my opinion, people are always the number one vulnerability in any organization or network. You can patch, you can keep backups, but if you're not training folks, or since we live in a super social media world, if you don't know what to look for, there's vulnerabilities in what people tell you. So sometimes the truth is not the real truth or the whole truth. So I wanted to get into that.
I think we have a combination of issues though, Chris, because you have the tech stack, which in and of itself. So you've got people that are like Mac heavy or Linux heavy. They'll be like, oh, these don't get, malware. These are not. These are not whatever.
Yeah.
So you have the tech stack that's an issue because you don't have complete visibility for one reason or another. And we're going to get into that because that relates back to people. And that relates back to senior leadership, which I do want to talk about. But then you have the people issue, which is, generally speaking, even us as cybersecurity professionals fall victim to the dumbest shit. The dumbest. It happens. So for you, as a cybersecurity professional, as someone who's been in the industry for 14 years, let's back it up before I get into that. Give these people a little rundown on why you were able to speak on this, because I love newbies in this industry, but you're a veteran. You've been in it for a hot minute, just like myself. So give some people a little rundown on what you've been doing.
I like that. I like the term veteran over expert. And here's why. My path to in cybersecurity is not the normal one. When I went to college, there was no undergrad, cybersecurity. So I had to figure out a way into cybersecurity. That's number one. And then, one, I always wanted to do cybersecurity. Let's get that straight. So I had to figure out a way to get into it. And I always wanted to get into it. And then, how do I progress in it? And luckily, or you can say luckily, you can say bless, you can say God, the stars. I've had my trials and tribulations, but 14 years, 15 years later, I'm still here. And what I'm doing now is, my point is to go back. I can't pay everybody back that helped me, but I can pay it forward. I can bring somebody else up.
Exactly.
I can tell them. I can tell them my
experience. Man, we pay it forward. That's what we do.
Right. So, So the reason I'm a veteran in this game is, like I said, I went to school to study engineering. Always wanted to do cybersecurity. I don't know why I decided to do engineering, electrical engineering. When I graduated, was a network tech. Then I went to systems engineer, network engineer. Then went to security engineer, security analyst, work security architecture, leads. I was a security lead and then manager. So I'm seeing a lot. I've done a lot, but people need to understand in the cybersecurity world, you can do a lot and not touch the surface. Yeah, like literally, you could be in here 25, 30 years and you still you're going to find out something new, especially now.
You
And
might scratch the surface, but
technology is advancing. A computer used to be obsolete 3 years. Now it's obsolete in what, 9 months? Especially now when we're going from CPUs to GPUs, AI. Like we're making leaps and bounds. So not everybody can be in. Not so I've seen it. I've done it, but I haven't done everything. So that's why people should listen to me.
yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things, right? When we look at the way technology has advanced, we talk about I can't put a name on it. I know there's a certain terminology behind it, but things used to double like every so many years, right?
Right.
And so when I look at things like that and I look at the situations that we're in, we have shrunk that time frame, especially with AI, quantum computing, and everything else. But there is a common denominator in everything we do. The people. People design it, people code it, people secure it, people use it, people do everything. So in Moore's Law, Brian, Braun, whatever. Moore's Law. That's what it is. CPUs used to double every so many years. Same with memory and everything else. And so when you look at those situations, and we are now in a time where, to your point, it used to be and I kid you not, I went to Walmart, bought like a $400 computer, didn't do nothing with it. Turned it on, set it up, and barely touched it. Went to go turn it on like 9 months later, and this thing would barely start. I couldn't even get it to start up. I'm like, what is going on here? And it's because
Right.
the list goes on. And I'm like, okay. So now we've gone from 6 years to 9 months, maybe even 6 months, depending on how much money you spend.
Right.
What is going on in tech, let alone cybersecurity, that now you have to look at people first? Always. Top down, people first.
Yeah.
Is that more on a design issue, a tech issue, or a knowledge issue?
All three. All three. So here's why. Let's start with the last one, knowledge first. We're moving so far ahead, but if you're going to school to study tech, the keyword tech that's been bastardized so many ways. IT, cybersecurity, whatnot. What are they teaching? We're finding out that colleges are not 4 year degrees are not getting students ready for the workforce. So
Correct.
I'm working with a couple of schools to help that. That's number one. Two, knowledge base. We were in an era where it was not being educated. We're now in an area where there's too much trash. It's miseducation. There's too much trash out there. You have to distinguish what's real, what's fake. Do I need a degree? Do I not need a degree? Do I need certifications? Do I not need certifications? And that is the what I like to consider the art to the science. And my personal belief, you need both. You need a 4 year degree and you need certifications. Why? Because I mean that's how I came up. So
Right,
I'm
right.
on people when people give advice, there's only two things that's law. People only give advice from their education and their experience. That's the only thing. So that's
That's all
when
you can
people
give advice on.
right. So you get into the cybersecurity because they look for certifications. You advance in certain positions because of your degree. Your degree does open doors. Does that mean you're automatically going to get a job? No. Does that mean that some person with a degree knows exactly what they're saying? Hell no. Like I said, like certain schools are not getting these people ready. So education, technology, knowing, and then also too, we live in a world where everybody wants to be a social media influencer. Now, whatever that's a crazy title. And to be an
You've seen
influencer,
my LinkedIn, dude. It shows up once in a blue moon. Like you
yeah,
probably have seen maybe one in the past month, if not two.
yeah, like everybody wants to be a social media influencer, and the thing is like influencers can just say stuff. There's no checks and balances.
No.
So why are you believing certain people?
Yeah.
Because it sounds people talk to people's emotional to get an emotional response, not a logical response.
Oh, I love that answer because in everything we do, especially in cybersecurity, when you look at the personal vulnerabilities, the people vulnerability,
Oh yeah.
it's all on emotion. Whether you are in this industry or not, every phishing email, every
Oh
message,
yeah.
every Facebook message, every Instagram, however people reach you, it is all based on emotion. Are you going to click this link? Are you
Right.
going to
What
call
do you
this
like?
number?
Yeah.
Are you
What do you
going to
like?
give me your social? How can I elicit? And the biggest emotional factor in that is fear. If I can elicit fear in you, I can get you to do whatever I need you to do. I just need you to fear the
Right.
repercussions of not doing it.
Or I need to cater to your ego. What do you like? What do you don't like? Or are you a football fan? Do you like jet skis? Or do you are you alone and single and there's a woman, hot woman that wants to add you as
Yep.
friends for whatever
Oh, dude,
reason?
those are the worst, man. I love, but see, me personally knowing that, and this is the biggest thing, me knowing that, I love messing with those people.
Oh yeah.
The ones that hit you up and are like, I give you a good time. No, no, you give
No.
me no good time. But hey, yo, look, so my name is Adam Sandler, and and we've been look, I got a dad that like died, but he's also Lucifer. My
Right.
brothers are trying to take over hell. What do you want? I have done it. I have literally had somebody on the hook, and it was probably some bot. Who knows? I don't know. But I wasn't going to give them my information.
No.
So I'm going to give them everything. But people don't realize that. It doesn't trigger with them. For them, it's that any of those major emotions. Fear in industry is the biggest one.
Oh yeah.
But when you're looking at a personal level, you can deal with fear, lust, anything like that, and trigger that response. And this is why when I look at vulnerabilities in any network, when I look at vulnerabilities in any industry, I have to take it from the top down. I have to go by security and vulnerabilities from a top down uh, viewpoint because you got to look at the business need as well as what is going to encourage a CEO to spend more money to secure their data.
Oh, so yes. So we're getting into that, and I don't want to talk about certain vendors, and I won't. But I will say this as,
We can keep
uh,
vendors out of it. It's
yeah,
literally just
it's
looking at it from a experience standpoint of CEOs, CISOs, CIOs, salespeople, and people in general. Because everything we do, regardless of the tech stack, and yes, tech stacks are vulnerable. Me and you were talking
oh,
about that. Linux, Mac, Windows, all vulnerable no matter what you use. I could literally drop a rootkit onto just about any machine.
oh yeah.
It is all about the people. So, how do we encourage security from top down?
Okay, from top down. The leadership has to buy into it. So leadership definitely has to buy into it. So what you do is that your management has to convey to. Okay, no, scratch that. I was always told, or I should say, I was told, or a lesson learned from a CISO, that security is not the no man. And everybody thinks that security, all we do is say no. We're not here to say no.
No,
We're here
we're
to
here to enable the business.
we're here in the most secure manner possible. Now, if um, if if we lose, if they don't go with our recommendations, then we have to look at ourselves. And here's the thing about security people, we don't like to check ourselves. Did I make my case strong enough? Because that is you have to make a strong enough case, and you have to get it done in the beginning. Uh, uh, so we have to do that, and then we have to just work with them. You have to build these relationships. Now, also too, if you're a new person in security, I mean, your organization, whatever your organization is, You have to build those relationships because when an incident happens, and if and when, chances are you win, you're going to need to talk to those people. And one thing I found in my all my years is that it's the worker ants, especially when ransomware first became real popular, that were scared to talk to security because they're scared of repercussions. So and this is what we just talked about fear 17 minutes ago, or like 5 minutes ago. Here's the thing. It's fear because one, even though there's yearly security compliance or in whatever industry you have to do, like GBLA, HIPAA, SOX, you have to take those compliances too. Most people do what? Click, 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 click,
That
click.
is my so on that note.
Next, 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 next. And so when something happens, I don't know what to do and I'm scared of repercussions. Will I get fired?
So let me bring you this to you in a different way. Do you feel, from a non-technical standpoint, that in-person cyber awareness training from an outside vendor would do better than the CBTs and all the other bullshit that people have to do?
No, no.
Why not?
It doesn't matter who it is. It could be inside or outside. Yearly compliance training, and it doesn't
I'm
even
not
have
talking
to.
compliance. I'm
Yeah.
talking somebody who is there that others don't have to worry about judgment because they're going to be there maybe once a year. It'll probably switch, whatever. But they show all the ways to recognize phishing, emails, websites, whatever. So we're talking a full day training for, each department.
No.
Do you feel that would go better than an online click? I'm gonna take the test. I know, not the fucking plug in a USB drive.
No. No, I don't. I think you can spend your money, but there was a was it Usain? No, not Usain Bolt. There's a saying you can you can outsource technology, and but you can't outsource responsibility. And if you want to create a culture inside your business,
Yeah.
then you need to do it inside your business. You can't expect a third party to do it for you. And it goes back to what I was saying. You have to build those relationships. So when we're doing yearly compliances or we're doing security training, and I'm like, hey, I hit up a manager and be like, hey, this person hasn't taken their training. They'll be like, okay, Chris, I'm gonna get on it because they know me. And also, too, if something happens, it's no longer I'm gonna contact security. I'm gonna contact Chris. That's
The
how I
reason,
am.
but the reason I ask that is because from my experience going through any type of
What?
cyber awareness training, it's, oh, don't plug in a USB drive. Don't put in a CD you don't know. Don't do this. But we're not going to show you why. We're not going to show you how to recognize email links. We're not going to show you how to recognize malicious whatever. We're just going to tell you not to do things from people you don't know and tell you, hey, if you see this in the email address where it says a name, but then the name is different, okay, don't do it. No, no, no. We're not going to go beyond that. I'm looking at it from a perspective of if you give people the knowledge, because it'll only happen in person, right? Because here's how I view the personal twist. People will not open up to those that they will see or have to interact with on a daily basis. So when you're looking at it as, I can report this electronically, yeah, I think this is phishing, da 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 da. But if I did something messed up or if I have a question, I don't want to go to my help desk or my security people because they're going to say I'm stupid. They're going to say I'm this or that or the third, because this is how people think. And this is
I
where we
I
got to get into how people
I
think and the
disagree.
psychology of it. When you look at a third party coming in and somebody can go up to them and be like, all right, so look, can you explain to me how I can find X, Y, and Z in an email? They'll be more open, or should. I can't say will. should be more open on how they can find X, Y, and Z versus a CBT. And then going to your security people, they're going to be afraid because, and this is to your point,
disagree.
but this goes to your point. Security, unfortunately, is the team of no. So
I
if
disagree.
that's their opinion, would an in-person educator be better?
I disagree. Because you're talking about an in-person educator. Why isn't again? If the in-person is educated is your security team, and you're building those relationships, then you are making those people feel comfortable enough to speak to you.
And that's what I want, is that your in-person educator
Yeah,
is your
yeah.
security team,
But then
but
that
it's
goes.
still in person. They can still talk to you
Well, yeah. But
versus
that goes.
a
That goes.
CBT.
But that goes to. That goes to the responsibility of your security group, and that's what and this is the vulnerabilities of the security program that we need to look at, because you don't need to come in hot and heavy, the boogeyman, and scare everybody. You need to come in and build relationships, and just like when there's a breach, the CISO is the first to go, because that's just
That's
the
the
law of the
dumbest
land.
shit in the world, but
That's
yeah,
the
it happens
first
all the
one to
time.
go. You need to be able to go to people and be like, hey, you need to talk to me and I need to talk to you, and not just be robotic. Because if you go and be like, well, they did the yearly compliance training. Well, I told them about this vulnerability. Oh, I told them to patch that a week ago. But there's no follow up. There's nothing. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're doing that, then your security posture has vulnerabilities in it in itself.
Yes. Yes, most
It
definitely.
does. It
And I
does.
agree with you there. And that is one of those things. That's what I wanted to hear, was that relationship building, that you can talk to me. I am open. I don't want a third party to come in here and tell my organization how to operate as far as cyber awareness. I want to work with the people, not against the people. I don't want to be the team of no, because a team of no doesn't fix anything. That's how you end up with rogue IT and all these other issues. Business enablement is key. And if the people will talk to you, then you can alleviate their fears, secure their infrastructure, and do what you need to do.
Right. But also too, look what people are seeing. And it's not just the professionals in the corporate world. It's the average person. Like, oh, I want to get into tech because I see that's where the money is, and there's 100 social media influencers saying, "Hey, I'm an expert. I have a bona fide way for you to get in. You don't need to be technical," which I have a big problem with that one. You don't need to be technical,
Hell
and
no.
then also too, because we talked about how technology has advanced, the way we learn needs to be advanced, and that means certain people got to get rid of certain biases. So I get a case in point: artificial intelligence, or not artificial intelligence. Sorry, self-driving cars. I was at a convention yesterday, matter of fact, and the keynote speaker had made a great point. He was like, AI, everybody's scared of it. The cat's out the bag. We can't put it back in the bag now because we had this contained and somebody just gave it to 5 billion people to use Chat GPT, but they don't even know what they're using. Because yes, it's machine learning, but we have to train the machine. So if you're training biases in the machine, you're training AI to be biased. Case in point, self-driving cars. There's a particular model, not gonna call it out, but it was running over people at night.
Yeah.
Why was that? Well, it was programmed with bias.
Yes.
It never sought to look at a shadow because it was never taught to look at the color black, and therefore it was running over some black people at night. Just you have to think you have to get rid of your biases. You have to understand what the world we're coming in today. And I try to educate people because people talking about going back to my original statement. I want to get into tech. First of all, stop using the word tech. I'm highly annoyed by it because it's been bastardized. What do you want? Do you want to be a you want to be cybersecurity? You want to be a developer? Do you want to do computer programming and general data
Sysadmin, network
sysadmin?
engineering,
You want to be
what?
a data
What do you want to
scientist.
do?
You want to be a data scientist. And then if you're going into cybersecurity, understand something. It used to be cybersecurity is known as IT. They're
Two
vastly
different things.
and then inside cybersecurity, what do? You want to be architecture? You want to be do you want to do digital forensics? Do you want to do pen testing? Do you want to do speaking of pen testing?
GRC, sales. What do you want to
Yeah,
do within
and
cyber?
even in pen testing, what you want to do because to be
Web
a
app,
quote unquote
network.
quit
What do you want
expert,
to
you
do?
have to specialize into something exactly. Bruh, I was yesterday. I had a guy. I'm not even gonna say his name, but he was like, I need a pen tester. However, I want him to specialize in mobile pen testing, not the actual cell phone, but actually understand the network between 4G and 5G. Who knows that? But that's what he was looking for. You have to specialize in
At
something.
least, look, at least he specified that. At
Yes.
least he specified what he was looking for. Because so many people be like, oh, I'm looking for this. And you're like, all right, give someone, they wouldn't get the job. And the next person wouldn't get the job. Next person, why didn't they get the job? And then they come back to you after like 13 candidates and be like, oh, well, they don't know the difference between 4G and 5G.
Right.
You didn't say that. You
Right.
never. So at least this person said, this is what I'm looking for. That makes sense to me. But that's not mobile pen testing. That is more telecom pen testing, if I would phrase it right, maybe.
Look,
Like
man,
if
I'm
you're
not a pen
going
tester.
against,
I'm not a pen tester.
I'm not. Look, I
I've
can
done
do
it.
pen testing. I
I've
don't.
done,
I don't like
I
the
can
paperwork behind it.
I can
I
fumble through
don't.
it. I can fumble through it. People don't understand. Pen testers is not what you see on the movies. Hats off
Hell
to
no.
them.
Hell no.
Now, I would do pen testing before I do digital forensics. Oh, bro, I could not. I can't do that.
Oh, I'm up in the air with that one. I'm up in the air with that one because I do. The only reason I don't like digital forensics is because of what you can find. Not because of the paperwork, not because of the chain of evidence, not because of anything else. Because of what you might come across. That is the only reason. Because there is some very, 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 very fucked up shit in digital forensics.
Oh, bro, I have a friend of mine that I have a couple of friends that do it, but one guy told me the stuff that he sees, and I'm like, bro, I'm like, how do you go to sleep at night when you gotta?
Right?
I mean, you finding this stuff, but it's so disturbing,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's another reason why I tell people you want to get into tech, but be careful what you're asking for because you're going to get burned out if this is not your passion. If this is not your passion, you're going to get burned out.
So let me ask you a question. When we're looking at vulnerabilities, us as security professionals talk a lot about those that are non-security professionals. How much of those vulnerabilities do you find are your security professionals based on that same concept of burnout? Whether it's too many logs, too many alerts, too many alarms, too many
No, no, no,
whatever.
no, 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 no. It's a lot. And it's not just security folks. Because if we're talking about alerts, I mean, depending on the industry, you get alerts all the time, man. And then now there's tools to synchronize alerts, and then there's vendors that'll tell you, oh, we can use this AI tool now. It used to be like our people would
We can use
let you know
whatever
which alerts
tool
is
to do
right.
whatever thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm like, okay, whatever. It happens. It happens. You get alerts, but you gotta. It goes back to being technical. Do you know what you're protecting? Do you know the architecture? Do you know the network? Do you know? It's very important because if you don't know it, how can you protect it? Like, okay, I give you an example. I give you a perfect example. Um, SaaS tools, right? SaaS tools. Everything's in the cloud. People think because it's in the cloud, it's protected. No, the data is still yours, and there's vulnerability scanners that'll give you a false positive, like, oh, we can connect to this through HTTP. That's a vulnerability, but if the actual SaaS tool only allows HTTPS connectors, that's a false positive. But you have to know what you're doing. Again, it involves the person being technical, involves the security group being technical, and also too, like you have to know, like just because something's on the cloud. Let me give you, if
Oh,
something's in the
that's what you're
cloud.
getting into. When you're looking at the cloud, you're looking at the combination of responsibility, and I can't think of the term, shared responsibility model.
Shared responsibility model.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people forget that, and so they don't put the ACLs in place that they're used to in firewalls, or they're used to in anything. So this is how we end up with open S3 buckets and everything else. So when you're looking at the cloud,
Log4j.
where does the fault lie?
Log4j. AI ain't there yet. Depends on the learning issue. Jack, you're absolutely right. AI
AI
is
ain't
not.
there yet. It all depends
No.
on the learning info. AI isn't AI.
AI, no, you can't have AI. You can't have AI because you have machine learning. Now, here's here here's the thing. We're going. People need to understand we're moving to a society where AI is going to be used no matter what, explicitly or implicitly. Like you're going
But
to
but
have
is
it.
it true AI?
Not
So
yet.
this is always my argument with AI, ML, and everything else.
No.
You've got artificial intelligence, which is something that can learn on its own without any interaction from anything else, right? It
Right.
is a person. It basically emulates a person. You've got machine learning that can only learn via machine. And again, I could be wrong on that. Infinite improbability AI, SARN AR would be the first one to tell me I'm wrong. But that's how I view things. Someone that can learn by listening and watching and seeing versus someone who has to type on a computer. Everything we have right now has to be typed on a computer.
Yes.
So it's not AI. It is machine learning and or behavioral analytics.
No, it isn't.
I have not
Like
seen anything that's true AI.
we're not at Skynet yet.
No.
Okay, Terminator is not coming out.
I mean, I wish. Sometimes I wish. That's
No,
different.
I don't. I
But
don't. No, I don't.
that's a whole different topic.
But we'll need AI to battle the aliens. And so when the aliens
Mhm.
come, then we're going to need AI.
Yes. But I
So
do think that everything we've done is machine learning, behavioral analytics, things like that. I don't think we've had true AI yet. I don't personally.
no.
Can't make chicken soup from chicken shit. Bad data equals AI model or bad AI model. Yeah, you're not wrong, AR. And that's how I look at it, right? We look at AI learns from what you put into it. So you look at, even if you go back to iRobot.
Oh yeah,
As,
yeah, yeah.
as fucked up
Robots.
as it is, you look at iRobot and the three rules that they had. Can't hurt a human and whatever else they had. Can't hurt yourself, da 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 da. But if you look at things like that, we have not had true AI ever. Not yet in this millennium.
Okay, so understand something, and hang on. When we have true AI, when a machine can actually learn on its own without humans, we're going to be in a different world.
Oh, most definitely. Have you seen, and this is my point to it, have you seen Free Guy? I think that's his name.
Free?
Or
No,
I
not
think
free.
that's the movie.
Oh, you talking about with
We're Ryan Reynolds.
yeah, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When he becomes self-aware.
And the code expands on its own. So you start with code this big and get code 1,000,000 lines long. That is true AI. So you go from something doing the same repetitive task over and over to now I can think on my own. I like ice cream. I like this. I like that. I like this at the third. At what point, though? At what point does that become a vulnerability in and of itself?
Oh yeah. I mean, but we're talking about advancements. Like, what happens when there's quantum computing, where there's no longer zero and one, when it's the computer can go from so zero and one is binary, zero and one, of
Right.
course, whatever. But when it's quantum, it can do
Everything.
all of this.
Every
So
direction,
now,
every 3D, 4D, you name it, it's there.
so now that computers are be like super speeds and down to the cellular level, like we're talking about a different realm that we're not, as a culture, as a society, we're not ready for just yet. Um, but we need to get ready, and cybersecurity people need to be on the forefront to help people. Like with just Chat GPT, like
Can we, though? Can we?
yes, I do. I feel we can.
So I think we can all, everybody in this chat on YouTube, and me and you can be in agreement. There's only two types of secure computing out there, or two types of companies: those that have been hacked and those that don't
Those
know.
who are going to be, yeah.
Just the same, there's only one truly secure computer out there. It is unplugged and a 6
Oh
foot
yeah.
deep lead line concrete box, whatever.
So I always say that people think the Pentagon is where the United States holds its data. I'm not a government agent. Don't get me wrong, none of that. But I know I know a Trojan horse, not a Trojan horse. I know a facade when I see it. If you're, I'm not going to tell the world where I keep my most secret
No,
data, my most critical assets.
hell no.
So don't think, and then anything that's critical assets that's in electronic form is never connected to the internet.
I would love to say that, but at the same time, this is the one point in time I will talk shit, and that is that the United States is stupid in the way they keep data. Look at how many third parties that have look, my data, mine, has been breached because of the third party people that have my data. So,
I'm gonna say
and that's from the government. OPM,
I'm
homie. OPM. That's all I
I'm
gotta
going
say.
I'm going to say no. And I'm going to say the government puts the data out that they want to be breached just to see what are as bait. They want
I
to.
can
It's
see that. I can
honeypots.
see that.
It's
I can see that.
honeypots.
Okay. I'll,
Like
I'll agree
I
with
want.
that.
So here's an example. And conspiracy theorists. When was the last time Sally Mae been hacked?
I wish they would.
When's the last time Sally Mae has? You've heard
Dude, I
Sally
wish they
Mae.
all would. This is the one thing. This is what pisses me off. And look, we want to talk about vulnerabilities, and I'll even bring up hacker groups. Oh, we're for the people. Then fucking get rid of all of the credit score bullshit and student loans. Oh no, we can't do that. What do you mean you can't do that? No. You're choosing not to. You're choosing. That's a choice. Sally Mae, Navient, I could give you a slew of companies should have done been, and they haven't been touched, and yet they got more money than anybody else in the country as far as companies go.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Look, I'm one of those people. You don't need to forgive my student loans. You just need to get rid of the company that holds them.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
I
the
get your
government,
point.
lets data out that they want to see.
Yeah,
Well,
I get your point.
what is Russia doing? What is China doing? Who else is looking for this certain type? Anything that they don't want out, that's like Super Bowl. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I see your point because if you look at it now, but this is where issues lie because I think sometimes they get too comfortable. We have
Oh,
found
that goes back.
vulnerabilities.
That goes back to our first point. People.
Yes. Yes. I think people get too comfortable. We have found vulnerabilities in CCTVs and sound waves and everything else that now,
Oh,
the
oh,
moment I
oh.
can see a computer, not even a keyboard, a computer, or hear a keyboard click, I can now pick up everything. And yes, it is completely possible from a phone
Yeah,
to pick up every keystroke you type,
oh, yeah.
every
It,
single one.
it is. Not only that, it's also an IoT light bulbs to make them listening devices.
Amazon, Google, Philips, GE, you go
This
through
is
the list of them. Hell, my whole office has commercial like smart bulbs, which suck because the way of my electric is chained in, it looks like a strobe light because it just passes the way electric flows. Whatever.
mhm.
Neither here nor there. But the point is, all of these, everything I have, everything you look at in these newer houses, I could literally steal your entire life. Your entire life just based on trying to listen. If I cared enough. Just like you could. Just like
Yeah,
so many malicious people. I could steal your identity without you ever buying anything. Ever.
because because people are the weakest link. Like I've literally seen somebody demonstrate getting passwords under 30 or under 2 minutes. Like there's people that professionally do it. Then let's not even go into the actual act of ransomware and ransomware as a service. But and that's again, it goes to training people, telling people the truth. It's not, oh, there's nothing that you need to worry about. And then there's also too the boogeyman. You have to find a happy medium.
So let me ask you a question. Do you feel individual people or organizations are more vulnerable?
Ooh, oh damn. Um,
I'm gonna take this somewhere, but I want your
I'm
answer first.
I'm going to say individual people, and the reason why I say that is because people that are usually targeted are the elderly who who don't understand technology. They go after them, and but on the dark web, if we're talking about social security numbers or whatnot, it's not valuable to take one social security number. You got to take a stack of them.
Right.
But I mean, but if we get into ransomware, but then no, I'm gonna still say people.
Ransomware is all organizations. Let's be
Nation,
honest.
yeah.
Ransomware will never escape organizations. That is what they hold it. But the ransom is not the I encrypted your data. The ransom comes down to I stole your data.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what people forget. People neglect the whole I have everything and just concentrate on the I encrypted your shit. Go ahead and decrypt it. I still have it. I can share whatever the fuck I want. All your IP, all of everything, I can share it all. So people forget that aspect of it. But from a personal level, I look at it this way. I work with a lot of independent people, wrestlers mostly. If we are looking at vulnerabilities, do you feel that the individual is more targeted or the organization?
The individual, because even if you get into corporations, they target individuals.
You give me a lot to think about because I can agree with you there and disagree with you at the same time. Because I still think with that individual targeting, they're targeting the organization.
But
And
then
actually,
again,
if we look at it, there
okay,
was
so what is the end result? You're targeting an organization, but the way to get in is through the individual. So
okay, I can see your point. I see your point there. I do. I see your point. So it's so much easier to get in through individuals. Let's look at it. Let's take this from a different perspective. Let's kind of flip it on its head. So you've compromised an individual. You feel as an organization you have a secure tech stack.
Keep going. I'm listening. I just got to step away.
Yeah, you're
Keep
good.
going. I'm listening.
You're good. So if you have this secure tech stack, do you truly feel it's secure? Because if it is, how do I put this? You have a SIM, you have everything that every consulting company has told you to have. But an individual gets breached because they did password reuse or whatever the case may be. Are you truly secure?
You're never truly secure.
But
You're
what I mean by that is, are you able to catch it? If you have the best tech stack in the world, if you have the best people on it, are you truly secure and able to catch it and stop it in time because somebody had password reuse?
That's a loaded question.
I know. I had to ask it because it was loaded. That was the
It's
whole
a
point.
loaded question because, okay, so people, again, people will do what they want to do, and there's nothing 100% secure.
Right.
There's literally understands in the mindset of a bad actor. So no matter if it's physical or electronic, if a person wants to do you harm, if a person wants to do you harm, they're going to try. The difference is in a bad hack and a bad actor, they will sit and wait for months for their opportunities. Like that's why you have to be
And that's what people
proactive and
miss.
you have to be reactive.
People miss that. So you have, and we talked about it in the beginning, you brought it up, education. You have organizations out there that will not hire, especially government, will not hire for $150,000, $200,000 a year, the best in the world, because they can't obtain a clearance. They don't have certifications. They don't have the degree. They don't have X, Y, and Z,
I forgot
whatever the
about
case may
clearance.
be.
Yeah, clearance is important.
But they are more intelligent and have more knowledge about network security, hacking, you name it. They have more intelligence than anybody out there. But they won't hire them
But
for whatever.
but
But then
there's
you have the
also
attackers.
yeah.
They have no time limits. Half the time when it comes to certain industries, they have unlimited funding. Not always, but let's like I said, half the time they have a good bit of funding. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
So
So we
but
are putting restrictions on the people we hire, yet the attackers have none.
but that goes back to what I said earlier about people and their biases. It's a changing world. It's not just like I said, like the EV company. It's all the same mindset. If you have a bias that you don't have, this person doesn't have a degree, I'm not going to hire him. He doesn't have certifications. I'm not going to hire him. Then I'm not him or her. Sorry, him or her. Then you're and they know exactly what they're doing.
I've been through that.
Then
That's why I'm letting you talk.
yeah,
I've been
yeah.
through that.
Then
Keep going.
yeah. But also too, government agencies have not. These are also the same people that will hire convicted felons because they know exactly. Show us what you did, how you did it, so we know.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio,
Yeah. Yeah.
he was that smart. So when people are that smart, however, you have to figure out the mindset or the cues to show that people are that
Well, look
smart.
at White Collar. White Collar was a whole show
Oh yeah, yeah.
about
Oh
somebody
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
did
yeah, yeah, yeah. The
white
art
collar
documentary.
crimes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
help solve them. So I feel, here's the thing, and here's the issue behind everything we do. Everything. And we're talking all of us white hats, all those that try to defend and protect and do all this shit. for whatever country we live in, for whatever we do. When you look at the taxes and the money that comes out, and the money you make from working legitimately versus I know how to go on the dark web and buy ransomware, do this, that, and the third. I can make millions of dollars from encrypting a company. Millions. We're not even talking a few 100,000. We're talking millions of dollars from hitting the biggest companies because they're going to pay that ransom.
You never pay the ransom.
Right? Versus I'm going to have to work for 150K or 110K or 90K for the next 60 years of my life just to make ends meet. What are you going to choose?
But that's the psyche of a person.
And that is why
That's the
people
psyche.
are always the vulnerability.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
I love the tech stack. I want to talk so much shit on the tech stack. I do. I wanted to come into this talking shit on the tech stack.
But it's not.
It's people.
It's the people, man.
Because if I can buy you, if I can tell you personally, Christopher, hey, I can go out there. I got to weigh in. I know someone. They're going to drop something. I'll make you $1 million. Actually, you know what? Fuck that. I'll make you $5 million in less than 2 weeks. You're going to bite.
It depends. But it also depends.
But are you going to get caught? And who's talking?
It depends on the situation of the person.
Exactly.
If you have a lot to lose, a person that has a lot to lose, chances are no. But if you have nothing to lose, if you're in dire situations, and this is where open source intelligence gathering is important, because they don't go after they don't go after.
No, they're not going to go after someone like me and you, I'm in debt, but not huge debt. I'm in, whatever. We're normal Americans just living our lives. They're going to go after that person that has a gambling addiction, is now 100K in debt. The person going through a divorce and the wife wants $500,000. The whatever. That's who they're going to go after.
Not just them, but the person that wants to move up in life.
Yeah.
Greener pastures. They're gonna go after the person that's reckless. Example, I should say. Malware, what was it? Malware advertising, whatever. When they put malware in advertising, I'm gonna find out what you like. You like them red bottoms, you like the Gucci, you like the Louis, you do Uber everywhere. So let me point this out to you. Let me program. I just want you to click on it.
Yep.
Click on them. And then is those people, again, if you're at work and your security posture is not great, you're scared to report it. By the time they're not going to report it right away, they're going to restart the machine.
No, it's always going to wait.
Yeah, they're going to wait, and then finally it's like, okay, I need to. I got this. By then it's hours later, and the person is trying to get in and then pivot. I mean, that's what my mindset. Once I get in, I'm gonna try to find a back door, get in. Because once you figure that door
out, you want that way in.
Yeah, and then you go from there. So you gotta understand humans. You can understand technology, and I mean, honestly, you don't want technology. You never want technology, AI, whatever, being in control of itself.
So let me ask you a question, because we're coming to it's 7:54 my time, coming to the top of the hour. If you were to help anybody trying to break into cybersecurity out, because we all know we can fall victim to the dumbest shit. I've seen some of the best and brightest fall victim to it. I've seen some people who can't get a job because of X, Y, and Z. I've seen from education to certification to you name it. If you were going to give advice to anybody trying to break into the industry, what advice would you give them?
You have to be able to show what you know, understand you're going to hear no a lot.
And you
So,
froze.
so get your degree, get your cert. Just you have to. Then you need to be able to go to these networking groups and tell people about yourself and let people know that you know what you're talking about. That's number. You have to hit up people on LinkedIn, the human resources, and let them know, like, hey, I'm doing this, but I can talk about this, and hope that they put you in touch with a hiring manager. Now, granted, that's not that's not the only way, and you're like I said, you have to be mentally ready to hear no a lot because it gets disheartening when you're trying to break into it when you see people getting advanced and all of that, especially you live on social media, especially LinkedIn. You can get a false sense of reality. But all you need to do is understand, just like the major leagues, when they call you up to play Major League Baseball, you haven't made it. You just got called up. You got to work even harder once you get in. So once you're there, you have to prove yourself, and it's going to be grunt work. You want to look for these sock opportunities.
Or GRC. Let's be honest. GRC's still out there.
But here's the thing. I deal with auditors, and there's a vast difference between dealing with an auditor that is very technical and know what they're doing, and then somebody that's just not technical. I'm sorry.
There
It.
is, but so here's my only contradiction. Only because I see where your point's going. If you don't have the technical chops, getting into GRC
Oh, GRC is
and
the way to
learning the
go.
regulation and everything else,
GRC is the way to go. Yeah.
while also working with technical people, and this is only if you want to eventually get technical. GRC is an easier route to go than being an analyst.
Oh, yes, yes. I will say that GRC is. But if you want to get into analysts, if you want to get into architecture, if you want to get into,
You have to be
well,
technical.
you have to be technical.
You don't have to
You have to
code. You
be.
don't have to
No,
script, but you got to
I
be
don't.
technical.
You don't necessarily have to script, but you got to know how networks work. You got to know how the cloud technology work. You have to know how computers work. Or a perfect example.
Logging, whatever, you have to know.
So back to your original point about being technical. Linux and Mac users, I have a Mac, don't get me wrong. Um, People are like, well, they don't get viruses. Wrong.
I hate. I've gone to
Wrong.
war
You
over
don't.
that.
They they get viruses. It's just the virus code is might be scripted for Windows because that's what most computers are. So the exe file won't operate in Windows, but your computer can still carry the virus to the next host.
Not just that. It isn't just that. So this is the problem. When you're looking at Linux and Unix operating systems, which is what Mac is and Linux and everything else, the malware that comes out for them is worse 9 times out of 10 than Windows. Because in order to introduce malware into a
Mm-hmm.
Linux or Unix operating system, you have to hook root. And if you can get that, you now own the system. Whereas with Windows, especially in modern day with the UAC and everything else, people just try to kill your resources, DOS, whatever. You can't use your computer. There are those that are rootkit viruses and everything else and malware and da 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 da. But I'm going to sit on your computer and steal your credentials. I'm going to be a keylogger. I'm going to do
Oh
whatever.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But on Mac, you can only do that. And on Linux, if you have root. If you have that access to that user at all
But
times, no matter what. So, in that regard, all malware, well, not all, but most malware designed for Mac or Linux is 10 times worse than anything designed for Windows, with the exception of a few. because it guarantees that root access. It guarantees I own everything you do, not just your browser or you open this folder on Mac and Linux. I own you. I own
But
everything you do.
this is why you have to understand technology, because if especially in the cloud, there's a root user, there's a super global user. You never, and as security people, we say you never want to have the root account, an admin account, the super global admin account of Windows used. You want to give people their individual accounts and give them the right
Yep.
provisions for that account. And like I like how Windows does the PIM privilege access management, where you can set a number of times, and after that
That
it
is
goes
why I love
away.
Azure
Yeah.
because
Oh
of
yeah.
that.
But you have to know technology. If you're talking about the tech stack again, but if you to understand the technology, the person has to be
And
technical.
this is where GRC and those that want to understand that versus those that just want to know the regulation and the regulation, the policy, and the procedure and the frameworks differ from those, that want to know the technical side. But I do have a $5 super chat here. Thank you, Infinite Probability AI. It's impossible to eliminate all human vulnerability. What is the biggest human vulnerabilities to focus on to reduce the number of incidents? All right, so this is our one and only question.
So I know. I was hoping for
I
more,
want to
but
know, what is the biggest, Chris? What is the
I'll be honest
biggest
with you.
human vulnerability?
I'll be honest with you. So the question is what to eliminate. You can't eliminate it. The biggest threat for the number to reduce the incidents is your staff knowing your information security policy and who to contact. If you know what the policy of the company is, you know how to behave, and it's so hard to say how you reduce incidents. It's unless you're going to, I'm sorry, a shit show where
Most
nobody
of them,
knows the
but keep going.
plan. Nobody knows the plan. Nobody has any training, and it's just a wild, wild west. And you come in and you create a plan, and people abide by it. But that takes months, and you can actually show the data and the metrics to reduce it. The number one thing I would say is have that open communication of who to contact in your information security group. So if something might be an incident, they can reach out to the right people. It can be investigated, and then you can be like, "Hey, yes, no, let's go from here." That is my
I can't disagree because I think it's the knowing who.
yes.
And the only caveat that I have to that is finding a way to reduce fear of repercussion. Because I think right now, when you look at our society, that is the biggest issue, is the fear of repercussion. I introduced malware. I introduced ransomware. I did X, Y, and Z. So I think that finding a way to reduce that issue, and if you bring it to security to where they can stop it and mitigate it and do what they need to do, that'll be key.
Okay.
But it's that fear of repercussion that scares people from reaching out to security. Because if they don't know where it started, then it wasn't me. And how many people in security see so many alerts, so many alarms, so many issues? Good luck finding out who started it. Because I'm going to just reformat all the computers.
Yep.
So, but anywho, Chris, it has been amazing. I love you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for all the information. We are going to have Will on next week, and I cannot pronounce his name right now. So check out my LinkedIn. He's on there. Otherwise, it's been an amazing episode. I love you all. Please take care. And again, any donations, any tips, anything you send my way will go to youth football. Otherwise, I will see you all next week with another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour.
Later.